The day Edna announced she was moving in, the air in our home thickened, as if anticipating the storm her presence would bring. My husband, Mark, a man of few words but great pride, especially in the home he designed, stood between his mother and me, the bearer of the news that would ignite the fuse of our already tense relationship. "I don't understand, Mark. Why does she have to move in with us?" I remember asking, my voice a mix of confusion and desperation. The idea of sharing our space with the domineering matriarch, whose visits alone left me exhausted, was unfathomable. Mark, with a sigh that seemed to carry the weight of the world, replied, "Laura, it's my mother. She's getting older, and after the fall, she can't be alone. It's just for a while, until we figure something out. But this is our sanctuary, our space. Can't she stay with Aunt Sylvia?" I countered, my mind racing for alternatives. "It's my house too, Laura." "She'll stay," Mark stated, his tone leaving no room for further discussion. His decision was final, and with it, the foundation of our home felt as if it had shifted, leaving me on unsteady ground. The day Edna arrived was like the opening scene of a play, where the audience knows the drama that's about to unfold. Her belongings, a collection of memories and habits, filled our living room, each item a testament to her refusal to let go of the past. Edna, with her commanding presence, surveyed the room, her eyes lingering on the modern decor that clashed with her traditional tastes. "This will all have to change," she declared, her voice cutting through the silence like a knife. "I need my surroundings to feel like home." I exchanged a look with Mark, a silent plea for him to intervene, to remind her this was our home. But the look he gave me in return was one of resignation, a silent message that this battle was mine alone. As the days passed, Edna's presence became a constant shadow, a reminder of the compromise I had made for peace. But peace was far from what our home harbored. Every comment, every suggestion from Edna was a subtle reminder of her dominance, a challenge to my place in my own home. "Why don't you use real butter in your cooking, Laura? Everything tastes so bland," Edna would say, her words casual, but loaded with criticism. "I prefer it this way, healthier," I would respond, my voice steady, but my fists clenched beneath the table. Mark, caught in the middle, would often attempt to smooth over these moments with humor or change the subject. But the tension was palpable, a constant companion at our dinner table. It was in these moments, amidst the silent battles and unspoken tensions, that I clung to my secret. A secret that lay buried within the very walls of this home, a silent ally whispering patience. The truth about the house, about my inheritance, was my hidden strength. And as Edna made herself more and more at home, I knew the time was coming when I would have to reveal it all, to reclaim what was rightfully mine. The arrival of Edna was not just an invasion of space, it was a challenge to my autonomy, a test of my patience. But beneath the surface, the seeds of rebellion were sown, waiting for the right moment to break through the facade of a harmonious household. This was just the beginning, the first act of a drama that would unravel secrets and alter the course of our lives forever. The weeks following Edna's arrival were marked by a gradual but undeniable shift in the atmosphere of our home. What was once a haven of peace and mutual respect slowly morphed into a battleground of wills, with Edna's strong personality and unyielding opinions clashing against my own sense of independence and control over my domain. One particular afternoon, the tension reached a new height over something as trivial as the arrangement of the living room. Edna, with a decorator's eye for detail but a total disregard for the personal touches I had infused into our space, decided it was time for a change. "I've been thinking, Laura, this room needs more warmth, more life." "It's too sterile," Edna announced, gesturing broadly at the minimalist decor that Mark and I had carefully chosen together. "But Edna, Mark, and I like it this way." "It's modern, it's us," I replied, trying to keep my voice even, though inside, I felt a storm brewing. "Darling, trust me, a few changes here and there, and you'll thank me. After all, a woman knows how to make a house a home," she said, her tone patronizing, as if my years of making this space ours were suddenly invalid. The comment stung, and I could feel my patience wearing thin. "Edna, while I appreciate your input, I think Mark and I have done just fine on our own." We're quite happy with how our home looks, I said, a bit more sharply than intended. The room fell silent, the air thick with unsaid words and unacknowledged grievances. Mark, who had been a silent observer until now, sensed the escalating tension and stepped in, a peacekeeper in a war neither side wanted to wage. "Ladies, let's not fight over decor. We can find a compromise, can't we?" he suggested, his voice laced with hope, but his eyes betraying a sense of helplessness. But compromises felt like defeats, and in that moment, I realized how much of myself I was sacrificing in the name of peace. The living room incident was a mere symptom of a larger issue. Edna's presence was not just an intrusion, it was an erasure of my identity within my own home. The days that followed were filled with similar confrontations, each one chipping away at the facade of familial harmony we tried to maintain. Dinner conversations turned into veiled battles, with Edna critiquing everything from my cooking to how I chose to spend my free time. "Why do you insist on using so much garlic?" "It's overpowering," Edna commented one evening, her nose wrinkled in distaste as she pushed her plate away, slightly. "It's actually quite good for your health," I retorted, my voice calm but firm, "and it's a key ingredient in this dish. If it's not to your taste, I can prepare something else for you next time." Mark, ever the mediator, tried to lighten the mood. "Well, I love it. Keeps the vampires away, right?" he joked, attempting to bridge the gap with humor. But the laughter died quickly, smothered by the growing realization that our home was no longer ours alone. It had become a shared space, dominated by the matriarch's preferences and criticisms, leaving little room for our own. As the weeks turned into months, the tension within our walls built into an oppressive force, a constant reminder of the struggle for dominance and control. My relationship with Mark began to show the strain, our conversations often ending in silence or arguments about his mother's latest comments or actions. "Laura, can't you see she's just trying to help?" Mark would argue, his loyalty to his mother clashing with his love for me. "Help? By undermining me at every turn?" "Mark, this is our home, and I feel like I'm losing it piece by piece," I would counter, my frustration boiling over. It was clear that something had to give. The tension was unsustainable, a silent storm waiting to erupt. And as I lay awake at night, listening to the quiet of the house that no longer felt like mine, I made a decision. It was time to take a stand, to reclaim my space and my voice in the home I loved. The secret I had kept for so long, buried within the walls of this house, would be my ally in the battle to come. It was time for the truth to come to light, for the balance of power to shift. The tension that had built up was about to find its release, and I was ready. The decision to reveal my secret wasn't made lightly. It felt like holding a lit match over a powder keg, knowing the explosion could either clear the air or destroy everything. The secret, my inheritance and true ownership of our home, was a truth I had kept hidden, even from Mark, to maintain a semblance of normalcy in our marriage. But Edna's presence, her constant undermining of my place in my own home, pushed me to a point where silence was no longer an option. It was on a chilly evening, the sky painted in hues of orange and purple as the sun dipped below the horizon, that I decided it was time. Mark was in his study, likely poring over blueprints for his next project, the one place he found solace amidst the storm brewing in our home. I found my steps leading me there, a mix of resolve and trepidation in my heart. "Mark, we need to talk," I said, my voice steady despite the whirlwind of emotions inside me. He looked up, his expression one of mild surprise mixed with concern. "What's wrong, Laura? Is this about Mom again?" I nodded, taking a deep breath. "Yes, but it's more than that. It's about us, this house, and something I've never told you." The confusion on his face deepened, and he gestured for me to sit. "Okay, I'm listening. I've been keeping a secret from you, something important about this house, our home," I began, my hands clasped tightly together. "The truth is, this house was bought with my inheritance. I am the legal owner." The silence that followed was deafening. Mark stared at me, disbelief etched on his face. "What are you talking about, Laura? I designed this house, we built it together. Yes, you designed it, and it's beautiful because of you. But the funds, Mark, they came from me, from an inheritance I received. I never told you because I didn't want it to change anything between us. I wanted this to be our home, equally. But now. Now what, Laura? Mark's voice was a mix of hurt and anger. You let me believe we were partners in this, that we were building our future together. Why keep something like this from me? Because I loved you, and I didn't want our relationship to be about money or property. But with your mother here, undermining me at every turn, I feel like I'm losing my voice, my place in my own home. I thought, maybe if you knew, you'd understand why I need to stand my ground. Mark ran his hands through his hair, a gesture of frustration I knew all too well. So, what now? You're going to kick my mother out because you own the house? No, Mark, that's not what I want. I want us to be a team again, to make decisions together. But your mother's presence is tearing us apart, and I can't live like this anymore. We need to find a solution, together. The conversation that followed was long and fraught with tension. Mark was hurt that I had kept such a significant secret from him, and I understood his pain. Yet, as we talked, it became clear that the revelation was a turning point for us. It forced us to confront the issues that Edna's presence had magnified, to acknowledge the cracks in our relationship that had been ignored for too long. In the end, Mark understood my position. He agreed that his mother's interference was unsustainable, that her disrespect for our boundaries was causing more harm than good. It was a painful acknowledgement for him, a realization that his loyalty to his family had blinded him to the cost of our happiness. The revelation of my secret, while initially a source of conflict, became a catalyst for change. It opened a dialogue between us that had been missing, a chance to rebuild on a foundation of honesty and mutual respect. The path forward was uncertain, fraught with difficult conversations and decisions, but for the first time in months, we were facing it together. As for Edna, the decision to address her behavior became inevitable. The house, a symbol of my autonomy and our shared dreams, could no longer be a battleground. The revelation was the first step towards reclaiming the harmony we had lost, a declaration that our home was not just a place of residence, but a reflection of the values and respect we held dear. The journey ahead was daunting, but with the truth now laid bare, we were ready to face it, united. The revelation of my inheritance and the true ownership of our home did not settle gently into the fabric of our lives. Instead, it landed with the force of a storm, uprooting long-standing beliefs and forcing us to confront the fragility of our shared illusions. The days following my disclosure to Mark were thick with tension, a tangible shift in the dynamics of our relationship and our household. Mark, struggling with the duality of his emotions, betrayal at my secret and shame at his ignorance, retreated into a shell of introspection. His usual vibrant presence dimmed, replaced by a quietude that was both alarming and heart-wrenching. One evening, as we sat across from each other at the dinner table, an uncomfortable silence enveloping us, I decided to breach the chasm that had formed. Mark, we can't continue like this, I started, my voice low, an olive branch extended in the midst of our turmoil. He looked up, his eyes meeting mine, a storm of emotion swirling within their depths. Laura, I just don't know how to move past this. I feel like I've been living a lie, in a home that was never really ours. It was always ours, Mark. My decision to use my inheritance was to build a future for us, not to undermine our partnership. I should have told you, and for that, I'm sorry. But we need to find a way to move forward, together. The conversation that followed was a painstaking navigation through the debris of our shaken trust. Mark expressed his hurt over being kept in the dark, his pride wounded by the realization that his contributions to our home were not as foundational as he believed. I listened, my heart aching with regret, understanding for the first time the depth of the rift my secret had caused. In the midst of our heartfelt exchange, Edna's shadow loomed large, a reminder of the catalyst that had brought our issues to the fore. The decision to address her role in our discord was inevitable, a necessary step in the healing process. The confrontation with Edna was a scene I had replayed in my mind countless times, each iteration ending in a different shade of resolution. Yet, When the moment arrived, it unfolded with a calmness that belied the tumultuous journey that had led us here. "Edna, we need to talk," I said, my voice steady, as Mark and I sat across from her in the living room, the setting sun casting long shadows across the floor. She regarded us with a wary eye, sensing the gravity of the conversation to come. "What is it now? More complaints about my trying to help?" "It's about the house, Edna, and your place in it," Mark interjected, his tone firm yet respectful. "Laura has revealed to me that she is the legal owner. The house was bought with her inheritance. We've come to realize that your presence here, and the way you've been acting, is causing a lot of tension." Edna's reaction was a mix of surprise and indignation. "So, what? You're kicking me out because of this?" "No, it's not about kicking you out," I clarified, eager to navigate this conversation with as much grace as possible. "It's about respect, boundaries, and understanding that this is our home. We need to feel comfortable in our own space, and unfortunately, that hasn't been the case." The discussion that followed was a delicate dance of accusations, defenses, and eventual understanding. Edna, confronted with the reality of her actions and their impact, fluctuated between defensiveness and moments of clarity. It was a difficult conversation, fraught with emotional landmines, but it was also a necessary one. In the end, a decision was made for Edna to move out, to find her own space where she could live as she pleased without infringing on our autonomy. It was a resolution that brought no joy, only a somber recognition of the limitations of our familial bonds. The fallout from my revelation and the subsequent decisions we made reverberated through our lives, a series of aftershocks that tested the foundation of our marriage. But it also opened a path to rebuilding, to addressing the issues that had been hidden beneath the surface. Mark and I, in the wake of our confrontation with Edna, found ourselves standing on the precipice of a new beginning. The road to recovery was long, paved with difficult conversations and the painstaking task of rebuilding trust. Yet, as we navigated this path, we did so with a newfound understanding of the importance of transparency, respect, and the courage to face our challenges together. The fallout was a crucible, one that burned away the illusions and forced us to confront the reality of our situation. But it also offered us a chance to forge a stronger bond, to build a future on the bedrock of honesty and mutual respect. As we faced the challenges ahead, we did so with the knowledge that our home, now truly ours, was a testament to our resilience, a sanctuary reclaimed from the brink of collapse. The aftermath of Edna's departure and the revelation that had precipitated it was like the calm after a storm, deceptive in its tranquility, with the damage lurking just beneath the surface. Our home, once a battleground of wills and unspoken grievances, now bore the scars of our recent turmoil. Yet, it also offered a blank canvas upon which Mark and I could begin to redraw the contours of our relationship and our lives together. The weeks that followed were a time of adjustment, a period marked by its quiet introspection and tentative steps towards reconciliation. Mark and I, once so certain of our shared path, now found ourselves navigating the uncertainties that lay in the wake of our confrontation. One evening, as we sat together in the living room, now devoid of Edna's influence but filled with the echoes of our recent conflicts, I broached the subject that had been weighing on my mind. "Mark, do you think we can truly move past this?" I asked, the vulnerability in my voice mirroring the uncertainty in my heart. He turned to me, his eyes reflecting the flicker of the candlelight, a softness there that I hadn't seen in weeks. "Laura, I won't lie and say it's going to be easy. But I believe in us, in our ability to overcome this. We've been given a chance to start anew, to build on a foundation of honesty and mutual respect. I think we owe it to ourselves to try." His words, sincere and hopeful, were a balm to the wounds that had not yet fully healed. "I want that too," I replied, reaching for his hand. "But I'm scared. Scared of making the same mistakes, of losing what we've worked so hard to build." "We both are," he admitted, squeezing my hand in reassurance. "But maybe that fear is a good thing. It means we're aware, that we're willing to work for what we want. And what I want is a future with you, Laura. No secrets, no unspoken grievances. Just us, tackling whatever comes our way, together." It was a moment of fragile hope, a bridge extended over the chasm that had threatened to swallow us whole. We understood that the path to healing would be fraught with challenges, that the scars of our recent past would not fade overnight. But we also recognized the strength in our unity, the resilience that had seen us through the darkest of times. The days turned into weeks, and slowly, the rhythm of our lives began to find its new tempo. Conversations that had once been fraught with tension now unfolded with a cautious openness, each of us more mindful of the other's feelings and perspectives. It was a delicate dance, one that required patience, understanding, and an unwavering commitment to the promises we had made to each other in the candlelit quiet of our living room. As we worked to rebuild the trust that had been eroded, we also sought to redefine the boundaries of our relationship with Edna. It was a process that required us to confront uncomfortable truths about family, loyalty, and the limits of our obligations. "Have you talked to your mother recently?" I ventured one afternoon, the question hanging between us like a delicate thread. Mark sighed, a mixture of resignation and relief in his expression. "I have. It's been difficult, but necessary. I think she's beginning to understand the reasons behind our decisions. There's a lot of hurt, a lot of healing that needs to happen. But I believe, in time, we'll find a way to move forward." His words were a testament to the complexity of familial bonds, the intricate web of emotions that defined our relationships with those we loved. It was a reminder that healing was not a solitary journey, but one that encompassed the wider circle of our family and friends. The aftermath of our confrontation with Edna and the secrets that had come to light was a period of profound growth and reflection. It forced us to confront the imperfections in our marriage, to acknowledge the areas where we had faltered and to commit to doing better. It was a reminder that love, in its truest form, was not a static entity but a dynamic force that required nurturing, sacrifice, and an unwavering commitment to growth. As we moved forward, hand in hand, we did so with the knowledge that our home, once a symbol of division and conflict, was now a testament to our resilience and our capacity for forgiveness. It was a sanctuary, not just of brick and mortar, but of love, respect, and the unbreakable bond that had weathered the storm and emerged stronger for it. The aftermath, though marked by its challenges, was also a celebration of our renewed commitment to each other, a promise of a future built on the solid foundation of transparency, understanding, and an unwavering dedication to the journey we had embarked upon, together. As the seasons changed, so too did the atmosphere within our home. The air, once heavy with unspoken grievances and tension, now carried a lighter, more hopeful quality. Mark and I had embarked on a journey of healing, a path that was neither straight nor easy, but one that we committed to navigating together. One crisp morning, as we sat in our newly redecorated kitchen, a project we had undertaken together as a symbol of our fresh start, I broached a subject that had been on my mind. "Mark, do you think we're ready to start planning for the future again?" I asked, a tentative hope coloring my words. He paused, his coffee cup halted midway to his lips. "I've been thinking about that too," he admitted, setting the cup down. "I feel like we've been given a second chance, Laura. And I don't want to waste it." "What do you have in mind?" I was thinking, maybe it's time we revisit some of our old dreams. "The ones we put on hold," I suggested, the idea sparking a newfound excitement within me. "The trip to Italy?" he asked, a smile beginning to play at the corners of his mouth, the shared dream of ours suddenly tangible again. "Yes, and maybe even starting a family," I added, the words hanging between us, charged with possibility. Mark reached across the table, taking my hand in his. "I think that sounds perfect. But let's make sure we're doing it for us, not because it's what we think we should be doing." "Absolutely. It's about moving forward, together, on our own terms," I agreed, feeling a profound sense of connection and mutual understanding. The conversation marked a turning point for us, a definitive step away from the shadows of the past and towards the light of our future. We began to dream again, to make plans not just for the immediate future, but for the life we wanted to build together. It was a process that brought us closer, each shared dream and goal a brick in the foundation of our renewed relationship. Yet, even as we looked forward, we were mindful of the lessons the past had taught us. The importance of communication, of honesty, and of facing challenges together became the cornerstones of our approach to life. One afternoon, as we worked together in the garden, Mark broached a topic that we had skirted around for weeks. "Laura, have you thought about how we'll handle things with my mom moving forward?" he asked, his voice gentle but serious. I paused, considering my words carefully. "I have. And I think the key is setting clear boundaries. We can't change the past, Mark, but we can decide how we interact with your mom in the future. It's about respect, for us and for her." Mark nodded, a look of relief crossing his face. "I'm glad you said that. I want to make sure we're on the same page. She's still my mom, but you're my wife, and our family, our home, has to come first." The conversation was a reaffirmation of our commitment to each other, a mutual understanding that while we valued our relationships with our families, the sanctity of our marriage and our home was paramount. As the days turned into weeks and the weeks into months, our home once again became a sanctuary, a place of love, laughter, and shared dreams. The challenges we had faced, the secrets that had once threatened to tear us apart, now served as reminders of our strength, of our capacity to overcome adversity together. Moving forward wasn't about forgetting the past, it was about learning from it, about taking the lessons it had taught us and applying them to our future. It was about acknowledging our faults and our weaknesses and using them to build a stronger, more resilient bond. Our journey was not without its challenges, but it was ours, a testament to the power of forgiveness, the importance of transparency, and the unbreakable bond of love. As we moved forward, hand in hand, we did so with the knowledge that whatever the future held, we would face it together, stronger and more united than ever before. The aftermath of our struggles had not only healed the fractures in our relationship, but had also deepened our love, enriching our lives with a depth of understanding and compassion that only the trials of life can impart. In the end, moving forward meant more than just progressing through time, it meant growing, together and individually, into the best versions of ourselves. It meant building a future on the solid foundation of our past, with every lesson learned, every challenge faced, and every moment shared serving as a stepping stone towards the life we dreamed of. And as we stood on the threshold of this new chapter, we did so with open hearts and a shared vision, ready to embrace whatever lay ahead with courage, love, and an unwavering commitment to each other.